Hi, welcome to the video. I've found a brand new synth effect. Works a bit on drums as well, I think. It's a cross between a bit of reverb, some compression, overdrive, distortion, and I'm calling it the Incinerator. And the trick is, it's a real incinerator. Okay, but in all seriousness, one of the best ways of getting punchy and unique synth and drum sounds is to get them out of your computer, out of the box and mic'd up or processed externally before you send them back into your sampler or your DAW. There are hundreds, probably thousands of different external processors that are available, from guitar pedals through to really expensive compressors and valve distortion boxes and so on. But you can simply play them out of your speakers, mic up the speakers, and get the sound back in that way. Move some air, get the sound of the room going on, experiment, move the mic around the room, literally just play the stuff out of some speakers. So I was going to make a video to show that. And then in the garage, I found this old Incinerator over here. They're only about 20 quid from DIY stores and so forth. And they're designed just to fill up with rubbish and burn. So they've got a chimney pot up the top and they've got holes in the bottom that allow the air through. That's perfect. You can drop a mic in the top and you can put some speaker cable in the holes at the bottom and an old speaker at the bottom, and then just drive some sound into it and listen to what's coming back through the mic. And it sounds incredible. It's perfect for synths and some of the higher end drum sounds, and just to give it a decent big rattly sound. Everything sounds a lot more punchy through it. Really, really good. So I'm going to play some stuff through it, let you have a listen, and maybe it inspires you to go and get your own Incinerator and build your own really, really cheap, amazing external processor. Okay, a quick closer look before we move on. Apologies for any shaky handheld camera work. This is the Incinerator. I've just got it on a bin and a stand just to hold it up. This is the lid, chimney for the smoke to go out, or the hole for the microphone, as I like to call it. Inside, I've got this, I think this is way too big, this really big speaker. Now, I got this for free from a dump because it's all broken. You can see the drivers here are all kind of broken up. I do think it's a little bit too big for purpose, but I like the idea that it's broken because it's free. It'll sound really nice and rattly, and it means I can't break it anymore by kind of overdriving it with too much sound and stuff. So that sits in there. Down the side, I've got this speaker cable feeding it here, just coming out of my computer. Then I just bang the lid on, and I've got this old but indestructible microphone. This is a really old Shure SM57. They're really cheap and they're totally indestructible. So I'm just going to drop that on the top, and I'm going to make sure it goes down the side rather than in front of the speakers. So if we have a look in here, it's dark, I know, but you can see that the mic's hanging down the side rather than in front. So we're going to get the sound of the Incinerator rather than the sound of the speakers. And that's it, basically. You're going to feed sound into the speaker at the bottom. It's going to resonate around inside the Incinerator. It's going to be picked up by the microphone and fed back into the computer. And we're going to see what it sounds like. Okay, let's get to some sounds. I have the latest copy of Logic here, actually, which I haven't checked out, but I'm looking forward to hearing a lot of the Ableton goodness that it seems to have inherited. And I have a soft synth here called Omnisphere with a preset unchanged called Supersaw ARP Lead. Now, soft synths like Omnisphere, Serum, Falcon, Avenger have sounds in them that are just instant gratification. They're super wide with loads of reverb, loads of echo. You can hold one key down on a lot of them and they just explode into life. This is kind of similar to that. I'm just going to move that off to another screen. Here is the Omnisphere sound on its own. Sounds great, sounds wide, sounds interesting. What I'm going to do is I'm simply going to send that sound into the Incinerator, which I can do by sending it down a bus send. You don't really have to understand Logic to know this, but just get the sound into the Incinerator. And then I'm going to record it back with this channel here that you can see in the main area. And then I'm just going to mix them together. So first of all, let's just record it. I'm going to hit record and see what happens. So you can see we've recorded this audio here. Now I'm going to switch off the send that's going to the trash can so I don't keep hurting my ears. And we'll have a listen to what we've just recorded. It sounds like this. It's quite trebly. Yeah, a weird one. It's sort of a bit crunchy and compressed and different. So now let's try mixing them together. So I'm going to put the original and the new one together, and we get this. So just adjusted the level a little bit. Now, what you hear here is that you've got much more focus in the center, because we've recorded effectively a mono signal that's just coming up the center, at the center of the speakers, and the wideness is still there with the effects and the reverb. You notice it more if I switch it off. So I'll play them both together, and then halfway through I'll just switch off the new one. I have the level up quite high in the new one, so it's sort of really sticking out. But again, this is combined. So I think you can hear a difference, hopefully, even if you're just listening on a phone, that your original sound, which sounded great to me and wide and exciting, does sound a little bit thin now without the addition of the incinerated sound, even though the incinerated sound bit trebly and light, and you wouldn't necessarily say that it's, you know, the most exciting sound in the world, but together they do form something new and unique, and it definitely jumps more out of the speaker. So here they are both combined just one more time. And here they are without the new version, just the original sound. So we're definitely onto something. This is as subtle as you want to make it. You can whack up that incinerated sound, but most of the outboard effects processing and so forth is quite subtle, but you really notice it when it's not there. So I really think we're onto something. We've got you know, a really cheap incinerator, an old broken speaker, and an old but still functional mic. And we're getting sounds here that are now a lot more interesting and a lot more grabby, if you like, than the out-of-the-box sounds. So let's give it a go, maybe with a drum track, and just see what happens. I'm going to use Logic's built-in drummer just for now, just to get some drum sounds going on. I think there's been some enhancements to drummer in the new version of Logic. So this is artificially intelligent Magnus playing something called Big Room. So I'm going to send that nicely into our incinerator, just exactly the same as before. And I'm going to record the results coming straight back in. So here we go. There you go. So nice, nicely recorded, nicely level actually, maybe a little bit hot, coming back from the incinerator. So let's have a listen to the signal that we have just recorded. And now let's have a listen to the two together. I'm going to take these levels down a little bit just to see what happens. And let's pull this down even further. Now what it sounds like it's done is it's just given a little bit of room noise, a little bit of ambience to the original track. So let's hear the original on its own. That's a really good drum sound, very clean, tight. Now I'm going to bring in our new version from the incinerator. Sounds really good. If you don't like the effect on the kick drum, then you can start getting into some EQ on the incinerated version. So if we just add some EQ, that's our incinerated version. Let's just put high pass filter. Now you've got the glorious kick coming through still, but you've got the top end room sound stuff coming through. Let's just take that off for a second. The other thing you can think about doing, I've no idea whether this would work or not, you can add something like the LFO tool from the same guys who make Serum. All that will do is it will duck the signal from the trash can from the incinerator where the kick drum's playing. Now we're getting some kind of creative percussion effects going on. Note that in here, when I've been doing this kind of stuff, I haven't really fed that loud a signal into the Incinerator. It's just enough to kind of make things shake around a little bit. So I'm going to do some more work and actually feed some larger, bigger, more distorted stuff going on, and do that in a follow-up video. But hopefully, I think we're onto something here. I'm going to try one more sample, a vocal sample, see if I can find one on a sample pack somewhere, and let's see what's going on with that. I found a vocal from a Loop Cloud collection of vocal samples, a really poppy one, and it sounds like this. I'm thinking about it. So I'm going to take that vocal as before, and I'm going to send it through the Incinerator. So you won't hear the Incinerator sound until afterwards, because I've got that muted. So you just hear the whole original vocal as it goes through and records into the Incinerator. I'm thinking about it. You got me. I'm thinking about it. You got me. Okay, so you should have heard the original vocal there, and now we're going to hear the incinerated vocal. I'm thinking about it. You got me. Again, it's quite interesting. It's got a cut to it. If we mix the two together, I'm thinking about it. You got me. Certainly gives it an edge. I think what I might do for a vocal again would give it some EQ. So let's take that EQ and just lose some of the bottom. I'm thinking about it. You got me. I'm thinking that's without. And let's bring the other one in. I'm thinking about it. You got me. It's just a bit of edge. It's a bit of overdrive and distortion going on. The other thing that you can start getting a bit creative with, if we just turn off the EQ for a second, is you could use the incinerated version as an effects send. So if we add just simply a delay onto just the incinerated version, so it sounds like this. This is just incinerated. We'll make that all wet. And then let's put back the original and adjust the levels. I'm thinking about it. You got me. I'm thinking about it. What you've got is the echoes coming from a different place, so it allows the vocal to come through. If you side-chained the main vocal to the incinerated vocal, so that it ducks as well a little bit more, you get that effect even more. But let's leave that for another video. The point is here we are creating overdriven, nice sounding stuff that's cutting through the mix just with a metal box, basically. Okay, well, hopefully you've heard enough to see that incinerators like this one do deserve a much larger place in the music industry, and not just for storing old vinyl or whatever. I love the way this thing sounds. I'm really shocked, actually. So I'm going to leave mine set up. I'm going to move it away, stick it in the corner. I'm lucky enough to have a bit of space behind me in the studio here. And I'm just going to leave it patched in as an effect and just try routing loads of different stuff through it. And hopefully we can do a follow-up video soon and see what happens. You could try anything. You could have a bucket. You can have absolutely nothing at all, like I mentioned at the beginning. Just get your speakers, your monitor speakers with a mic in front of them. Anything that moves some air. Anyway, I hope you found that inspiring, and maybe you go off and build your own external effects unit like this. Thank you so much for watching. Please do leave a like or subscribe or tell your mates. And hopefully I'll see you at the next video. Cheers. Thanks. Take care.